I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now, today we're reading from the book of Isaiah, chapter 45. Let's focus on verse 9. Woe to him who quarrels with his maker, to him who is but a potsherd among the potsherds on the ground. Does the clay say to the potter, "What are you making?" Does your work say, "He has no hands"? Isaiah 44 introduces us once more to a guy named Cyrus. And it would be difficult to overestimate the importance of Cyrus. He's known as Cyrus the Great in Israel's ancient history. The back-to-back victories of Cyrus against the Medes, Lydians, and the Babylonians brings into focus the astonishing accuracy of Isaiah's prophecies given 150 years earlier. Now, because the Lord called Cyrus and gave him these victories, it has been argued that Cyrus was a believer, that he was a convert of sorts. But Scripture indicates that he was not, that Cyrus was a pagan who saw the favor of Israel's God as something to be added to his collection of other gods. And that's not to say that Cyrus was not used by the Lord. He was anointed and he was empowered to succeed because the Lord had willed it to accomplish his purpose. Put plainly, it's possible to be used of the Lord and to not know him personally in a saving way. Just as it's possible to know God in a saving way and not be used by him because of your unrepentant sin. So God's using a person is not always a clear indicator of their salvation, nor is his rebuke of believers a clear indicator that he has rejected them on the other hand. So salvation is by grace through faith. God is about the business of accomplishing his purposes, and any tool among his creation is at his disposal. See also Balaam's donkey. Nobody expects to see him in heaven. Or what about the whale that the Lord used to get Jonah where he needed to get? Everything that happens, even in international affairs, is according to the Lord's plan because he's King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He's Lord of all. That means that there is no panic in heaven. There's only planning. There are no emergency sessions called of the Trinity because we're messing things up down here. Don't worry about climate change. The Lord's going to end the whole thing in a fire. Now, when everything seems to be shaking all around, God's sovereignty is of enormous encouragement. And this brings us to today's passage. The clay to the potter dialogue is the arrogance of unbelief. It questions what God is doing. It doesn't just say, "Hey, I wonder what the Lord's doing." It says, "Hey, why are you doing that? If I was God, I'd be doing it different." You see what you just did? You made yourself better than God. I'm smarter than God. The Lord who made the stars and the universe, believe me, he can order the course of history. Now, what is this foolishness that questions God's ability to raise up a Cyrus some 150 years later? It's nothing less than unbelief. And this type of unbelief will always be in opposition to prophecy. It questions not only the prophet, but the core reality is that the prophet is simply delivering the message of God. So it's really questioning God, who can call his shots even 150 years in advance. Before Israel went into exile, Isaiah was delivering God's invitation of grace. The same level of faith that Israel was commanded to display is required of followers of Jesus. And we must believe that Jesus died and was resurrected. That is a past event, a prophecy already fulfilled. The fact that Jesus died and was resurrected, that was prophesied long in advance. And then when we believe God's prophecy fulfilled in the past, well, that fuels our belief in his word concerning the future. That Jesus is coming again to gather his followers to himself and to judge the unrepentant. And that said, what have you done with that information? Knowing there's only one way of salvation, that one way is offered to you, and yet judgment is certain, why, who in their right mind would not receive salvation today? I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. You know, Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. And yes, we need your monthly support. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. Another way to help is just tell people about Groundworks Ministries. You can share these podcasts with friends and family and on your social media. And of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.